Well, it is no secret that the Fed moves in extremes. They're either way too loose with their policy or they're way too tight. We're currently in a situation where we feel that they're way too tight. I wanted to show a chart that I think really drives this home, and more importantly, what we think is coming. So let's dive right into this. This chart is thanks to our friends at MBS Highway. We're very appreciative of how they compile this data. What this shows is really kind of telling for where we are headed, in our opinion. So just to kind of orient you, the blue line is the Fed funds rate. So when people talk about raising the Fed rate, that's what we're talking about. The kind of pinkish line is the 10-year Treasury. And what we're seeing here is something that's only happened 4 times in the past 40 years. So really what we're trying to kind of highlight is when this blue line is above the pink line, we can kind of see what happens after that. Basically what's happening is the Fed funds rate is pushed too high above the 10-year Treasury, which essentially means that it's, one could make more money with the overnight rate versus the kind of tried and true 10-year Treasury. But that doesn't bode well because when it goes too far above, they have to correct things downwards. They try and save the day, but oftentimes, as you can see through these kind of red circles, it's too late and they have to come down too far. And we see a requisite drop in the 10-year Treasury, and I'll talk about that in a second as far as what that means for mortgage rates. But more importantly, we almost always see a recession afterwards. Why this is especially noteworthy, because again, this has only happened 4 times in the past 40 years. When we look at the spread of the previous events, it was much tighter than where we are now. We have the biggest spread that we've ever seen. So it's all it's going to take is some bad jobs numbers and some other economic data to show that things maybe aren't so peachy keen, and the Fed will have no choice but to correct downward, as we've seen how they do time and again. But it will be too little too late, and it will almost certainly mean a recession. Now, with all that said, I've said in other presentations that the 10-year Treasury, it generally is a barometer for mortgage rates. So as it's pointing downward, generally mortgage rates are too. And recessions and mortgage rates are usually pretty favorable for each other. So I don't want this to sound like it's the end of the world from a real estate perspective, but this was an interesting chart that I thought was worth sharing of seeing what has happened and why it's different now, because we have a larger spread than we had in the past. So it is definitely very likely that we could see an equally kind of big drop downward because they kind of have no choice. All right, so I hope this information is always helpful for you. Definitely let us know if you have any questions. We're here to talk about it, and we appreciate you. Thanks so much.